All right, we are up and running. Okay, everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining us here. This will be lesson 4 in personal finance. Just so you're aware, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes. And as we're going through the live lesson here, our expectations are make sure you're following along with the Nearpod lesson. If you're not able to jump on, make sure you're responding in the chat to the different things, but also do respectfully or appropriately. And then also respond to questions and instructions the first time. That helps us just kind of keep rolling through the class and get through here quickly and stuff. All right, so before I go with what we're going to be going over today, I'm going to jump into the course just so everybody is aware of what we're going to be doing, what we need to go over to get things done. Man, this computer's been slow today. All right, so as you can see, I just post the recorded lesson to the announcement page, just up on the front page here. As we go to plan, that's going to jump over here. It's thinking as well. Okay, as you see, today's the 17th. We have live class today. And then what you have due this week is quizzes 20 through 26. So you want to make sure you get those done. As we go into the next week here, if you are going to be a graduating senior or you are a graduating part-time student, we need to get everything done by Friday the 5th. May 5th. So it's just a little bit more, just 3 more quizzes. You'll just have to move up to this date. So make sure you get them. For the rest of everybody else, you'll have a couple weeks to basically get everything else done that you need to if you've fallen behind or something like that. As for our assignments this week, as I said before, it's like quizzes 19 through 23. And as soon as this comes up, oh man, internet's slow today. Okay. Quiz 20 is where it is. So we have module 8 that you need to do, module 9, which is right here, and then module 10, which is in the next unit. So you'll want to jump over to unit 4. And as that pops up, you'll have unit 10. So these 3 things. And what we're going to be talking about is basically as you're given these quizzes in the OLS, you'll answer multiple choice questions about how to pay for college and different financial institutions. And then the last one, which is just a couple things, we're not going to go over it a lot, but it's basically how to protect your assets. What that basically means is having insurance. If some calamity were to happen, like a fire in your house, if you don't have your house insured, you lose everything on your house and you're stuck with, if you still had a loan on it, you'd still be stuck with the loan. So we need to make sure we have all of those things in order before we can really be financially stable and go from there. So last time, if you remember, we talked about the discrepancy of being able to have some education, specific education, targeted to something specific. So we talked a little bit maybe about coding, right? If you have a specific coding language that you can do and you're highly sought after, you're going to be able to make a higher income than somebody that doesn't, right? So these specialities that you want to get, like specialized education, whether that could be plumbing or welding or it could be something that is very highly sought after in our economy, the higher your potential earning income is you're going to be and the higher your quality of life can be. So that's why you want to specialize in certain areas. But the biggest problem that everybody runs into is the cost, right? It costs money to be able to learn these things. There's some people that can self-teach themselves. That's great. But a lot of us, we can't be self-taught. We need to learn from other people, learn how to do things. So what they have done is the federal government has given out certain types of aid, and we're going to talk about those aids today. And then there's also private scholarships that you can be able to get into and kind of go from there. So somebody said, what I'm planning on going into, I know I have to get a degree. Yeah. And so if you know you need to get a degree, that's great to be able to do. If there's something else, you want to look at doing that, right? The more specific you can be and more specified, the better you're going to be at making good income. Still can't hear. Okay. Yeah. Refresh. And you might have to jump back in too. I apologize. Audio is being bad for you on your end. Okay, so we're going to watch this video real quick that's going to talk a little bit about this.
Hi, my name is Ben, and today we are identifying sources of funding to assist in post-high school education opportunities and the cost of repayment. For many applicants and their families, the most daunting aspect of the journey to college is the price tag. If you're wondering, how am I going to pay for college? You have options. In fact, there is more help available to you than you might realize. These resources are eager to work in partnership with you and your family to ensure that a college education is affordable. The federal government. The U.S. Department of Education awards about $150 billion a year to more than 15 million students through federal grants, to federal student loans, and to employment through the Federal Work-Study Program. Your state government. Similar to the federal government, your home state offers various types of financial aid, and guess what? You might be eligible for this type of aid even if you're not eligible for federal aid. College and universities. Many colleges and universities provide financial aid and scholarships from their own funds, sometimes for a particular field of study. To learn if a school offers this type of financial support, visit the financial aid section of their individual website or contact the school's financial aid office. Now that you know who is available to help you pay for college, it's important to understand what you can do to make college more affordable. Start saving. It's never too early to set funds aside to pay for college, and there are specific government-sponsored saving plans to help you do just that. Apply for financial aid. Financial aid comes in many different forms from a variety of different sources. Start by visiting the Office of Federal Student Aid to learn about the different types of financial aid available to you, like grants, loans, and work study. Then, when you're ready to apply for financial aid, you'll need to complete the free application for federal student aid, or better known as FAFSA. Explore scholarship opportunities. Scholarships are gift money that can help you pay for college. Most scholarships are awarded by individual colleges in recognition of academic performance, athletic ability, a commitment to community service, or other unique talents. You can learn about these opportunities by visiting colleges' admission and financial aid offices or websites. You can also find scholarship opportunities through local, regional, and national nonprofit organizations.
Okay. So hopefully this Nearpod, man, it's not working very well. There we go. All right. So that video really kind of told you was $150 million a year the federal government gives in student loan, work services, that kind of stuff, and help to people pay for their college. So there is a ton of money out there. And for example, like when I was going to school, I went and tried to get every little bit that I could, right, to help pay for that. So I got private scholarships. I got FAFSA grants. I took out some student loans, which I would really consider thinking of that as the last resort is student loans. Other private grants. I worked for government entities where they reimbursed me some tuition and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things you can do. So on here, it looks like we only got a couple people on the Nearpod, but if you're not on the Nearpod, please jump in on the chat if you would. What college do you want to go to, or what type of, some people want to already know the college they want to go to, or some people think they're going to go to tech school or whatever. And how are you looking at paying for it? Okay. So somebody said, I've already been accepted into Weber State. Awesome. That's where I went, was Weber State. And I've applied for FAFSA and I'm trying to get a job at the moment. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So I'm going to say, not sure. Jobs and work. Yep. That's, I had to work to go through school as well, and that helped pay for it as well. I will be moving a bit after school year ends, so I don't know what college where I plan to move. Okay. But I can pay for it through state or federal funding for jobs. Yep. There is, so for example, if you're a resident of a state, you usually get what they call in-state tuition, which is cheaper than going outside of the state. So if you do move, you may want to look at becoming a resident of that state, and that really helps out in the fact of paying not so much. Say, I'm planning on going to Salt Lake Community College for the first few years, and I'm going to take a cap year to work at Cedar Point, which should give me enough to finish the first years and some extra money. Awesome. That sounds great. That sounds like an awesome plan. I'm glad you guys, a lot of you guys are on the ball and actually know a little bit what you're going to do. Okay, so here are some examples of where things go, how families typically pay. Self-pay is actually the one at the bottom at 32%, where basically you're working and you're going to school at the same time. I worked a full-time job and went to school, and it's a lot, but you guys can do it. I did it. Scholarships and grants were 30%, and you can get those scholarships and grants. The federal ones seem to be some of the best, but there are private ones too. Relatives and family. Some people are willing to give you money to help you go to school. Student borrowing, that means taking out student loans. Parent borrowing, so you borrow from your parents and pay back. Student income and savings, that's another one that's kind of big to kind of get there. So just kind of, there's many different resources you can look at getting. As I said, there's even private scholarships that you can get all the time. Here are the different types you have. You have grants. Grants are really good because you actually don't have to pay them back. So really look into that. Scholarships, there's private scholarships, and there's also state scholarships, federal scholarships. Really look into those and see what exactly you have. I mean, you can get some for grades, you can get some for sports, you can get some for just being part of a certain ethnicity. There's all kinds of things you can get. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So somebody said that, if you took off summer semester. So yeah, so they have, usually most colleges have 3 semesters. They have summer semester, which sometimes is quite condensed and sometimes a little bit more to kind of get through work-wise. And then they have fall semester and spring semester. That's how most colleges, traditional colleges, work. But they have some that are like Western Governors, which is like go at your own pace. They have like tech colleges. I think they're on different kind of schedules and stuff too. So, I mean, just kind of whatever works for you, right? There's a lot of online options these days as well. So you can do it after school, before, or after work, before work, all that kind of stuff. Loans, as I said, I did take out some loans. There's some different types of loans that you can get through the federal government. One is called a subsidized loan, which those are the best because you don't have to pay back the interest until you graduate, as long as you continue going to school. There's some that have the interest right away. And so I've had to take out some student loans before And I try to pay them off really quickly because they stay with you forever. Federal work study. There's some areas you can work in, federal government jobs and stuff like that, that actually help you pay for work. You get to get college credit while you're working, and they pay for some of it. So that's a really good program. Internships and fellowships. I did an internship at the Utah State Capitol, and I got paid for it a little bit. So that was nice. And I got college credit for it as well. Institution tuition waiver. If you work like at a college or university, they have benefits where they will actually waive your tuition or pay your tuition for you. So for example, if you go and work at Weber State and work so many hours and stuff, they'll actually pay for your tuition, which is very, very nice. Employee benefits. So I've had some employers that once I pass classes, they'll reimburse me for those classes that I take. And then also veterans benefits. So if you were to go into the military, they have different benefits for the veterans where they pay for your college. Or if your parents were veterans, they may have some benefits that their children could take. So you might want to look into that, because I've heard people, the parents are able to gift it to their kids to be able to go to college. And that just doesn't even a regular university, but also tech college too. So look into those things. Any way you can get these skills, the best way. Okay, so they did talk a little bit in the video about FAFSA, which stands for Federal, oh man, it's going to be on the next page, but it's Federal Student Aid. Let's see what it stands for. I'm going to have to wait till it gets to the part, because I can't remember it. I know it's Federal Student Application something, but you do have to file for this every year. And you can actually file the year that you're a senior year in October 1st. So do we have any seniors in the class right now? I think we have a couple of seniors. You are? Okay. So you could do this right now if you wanted to. And just, you don't even have to take it, but you just file it, and you can actually at least see what the federal government will give you. The earlier you can do it, the better. You do have to list some institutions you may be interested in going to, but you do it, if you're living at home, you do need to do it with your parent. But you get what's called a FAFSA ID. And you do that and get it there. Okay, so you're going to take a gap year. Okay. Yeah, well, just know that the year following, right, I would go and take it and submit it for the next year to see what kind of benefits you can get. But the earlier you can do it, the better, because they'll start giving away this money, and once they're out of it, then they don't have any more to give out, right? So the faster you can do, the better. Somebody did say that Chipotle does some type of tuition reimbursement or covering tuition. So, and I know quite a few places do that now as benefits for working for them. So, okay, this is what it stands for, because I couldn't remember. Free application for federal student aid. And so you just go to www.fasfa.gov, and you just start entering in your information. This is what the website looks like. You just put start new FAFSA, or if you've done it before, just make sure you remember that PIN, because I always forgot my PIN number, and have it available. Just so you're aware, you're going to need to know, especially if you're a dependent of your parent, you are going to need to know a lot of information about your parents' tax returns, that kind of stuff. So make sure you have your parent there with you. If you're not a dependent, you can do it by yourself. And then you could also call and look up all of this fun stuff. Okay, the next thing we're going to go over real quick is just talking about different financial institutions. Somebody asked me the other day of what steps do they need to get a job and that kind of stuff. And one of those things is Most employers, you have to have a bank account in order to work for them, because they automatically put the payroll that you're going to be making into the bank. So you got to think of a financial institution of where you want to put things in. Okay, this video real quick is going to tell about different financial institutions that you can look at putting your money into. Personally, I like to deal with credit unions. That's just my personal preference because they're local, and I feel like they have some better customer service than some banks. But if you are very travel a lot, go to different states and stuff like that, credit unions are not all around, and sometimes banks are better options. So it really just depends on what you're thinking about. But here gives you some options for different financial institutions.
Hi, I'm Ezra Hainsworth. Today we'll compare the roles of financial institutions and their services. Institutions such as banks, credit unions, insurance companies, loan agencies, and investment or brokerage firms. A financial institution exists to provide a wide variety of financial services. These include widely used services like deposits and withdrawals, lending and collecting, and investment products, as well as highly specialized services like futures trading and financial modeling. While a majority of financial institutions provide a host of services and accounts for the general public, others focus on specialized services that only have a small number of prospective customers. To know which financial institution is most appropriate in serving a specific need, it is important to understand the differences between the types of institutions and the purposes they serve. The major categories of financial institutions include central banks, retail and commercial banks, internet banks, credit unions, savings and loans associations, investment banks, brokerage firms, insurance companies, and mortgage companies. Central banks. A central bank is a financial institution responsible for the oversight and management of all other banks. In the United States, the central bank is the Federal Reserve Bank, also known as the Fed, which is responsible for the conducting monetary policy, supervision, and regulation of financial institutions. Individual customers do not have direct contact with central bank. Instead, large financial institutions work directly with the Fed to provide products and services to the general public. Retail and commercial banks. Traditionally, retail banks offered products to individual consumers, while commercial banks work directly with businesses. Currently, the majority of large banks offer deposit accounts and lending and limited financial advice to both demographics. Products offered at retail and commercial banks include checkings and savings accounts, certificates of deposit or CDs, personal loans, mortgage loans, credit cards, and business banking accounts. Internet banks. One of the newest entries into the financial institution market is the internet bank, which works in a similar fashion to retail banks. Internet banks offer the same products and services as conventional banks, but they do so through online platforms instead of brick and mortar locations. Credit unions. Credit unions serve a specific demographic per their field of membership, such as teachers or members of the military. While products offered resemble retail bank offerings, credit unions are owned by their members and operate for their benefit. Savings and loan associations. Financial institutions that are mutually held and provide no more than 20% of total lending to businesses fall under the category of savings and loan associations. Individual consumers use savings and loan associations for deposit accounts, personal loans, and mortgage lending. Investment banks and companies. Investment banks do not take deposits. Instead, they help individuals, businesses, and government raise capital through the issuing of securities. Investment companies, more commonly known as mutual fund companies, pool funds from individuals and institutions to provide them access to the broader securities market. Brokerage firms. A brokerage firm assists individuals and institutions in buying and selling securities among available investors. Customers of brokerage firms can trade in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and exchange traded funds or ETFs, among others. Insurance companies. Financial institutions that help individuals transfer risk of loss are known as insurance companies. Individuals and businesses use insurance companies to protect against financial loss due to death, disability, accidents, property damage, and other misfortunes. Mortgage companies. Financial institutions that originate or fund mortgage loans are mortgage companies. While most mortgage companies serve the individual consumer market, some specialize in lending options for commercial real estate only.
All right. As you can see, there's multiple different financial institutions out there. One of the ones that's kind of taken a lot by storm is, for example, they said the internet kind of banking, where you can just do everything online. I've dabbled in it a little bit. I don't know. I'm maybe old school and can't really like trust the internet as much as maybe some of you guys are. But here's some banks that you may have seen before, like State Bank of Southern Utah, Heritage Bank, Zions Bank, U.S. Bank, First Security Bank, SunFirst, Far West Bank, other ones, Bonneville Bank. There's a lot out there that you can choose from. But there is a difference between banks and credit unions. And I just kind of want to discuss that a little bit. So banks have like basically stock options that you could buy on them. So for example, I could go and I could buy a stock option through a bank. And as the bank increases in value and stuff, so does my stock. So basically they're beholden to the stockholders. And most companies that are public are like that. They all have stock shareholders. There are different things like credit unions. They are owned by their members. So if you actually, hear like America First, they're kind of a big one around here. They say our members, right? So you're not like basically a consumer of the bank, like where you just go in, but you're an actual member, and then you actually kind of are not run it, but you're the one that they're beholden to, right? They're not worried about profit or loss. They're more worried about their members. They are worried about profit or loss, but it's just kind of different there. But if you do not have one, who out there, maybe I'll ask this question real quick. Who has a checking and savings account? Does anybody have a checking or savings account? I went and I do. You used to? Okay. Because like I went down and like I think my boy had one since he was like 1 year old, right? And a lot of banks, they'll even do like promotions where you can go in and they'll put in like $50 into your bank account for starting a bank account with them, right? And it only takes a little bit of money to start one, but you're really going to need that as you get into holding a job, having that. I ran into some people that they never had bank accounts before, and their employer was paying them on what they call their green card or something like that, or their blue card. And they would just put it on like this debit card and they would use it to buy things. I would prefer using some type of institution because people are worried maybe like the bank's going to run out of money. It's not going to. It's federally insured up to $250,000. But I would look at getting a checking and savings account. Most of the time they're free and they don't have monthly fees. Banks sometimes have monthly fees, but if you go to a credit union, they don't have monthly fees. And you actually gain interest as your money's in there. And you can go and you can log in online and see what's going on. So if you do not have a checking or savings account, talk to your parents, see if they'll set you up one, and kind of look into that to get one, because that's going to be something you're going to need as you get older and get more into the world. So, all right, we've gone a half hour. Appreciate it, guys. That's my contact information. Remember, this week we're doing quizzes 20 through, let me go back to this screen. I think it's 20 through, quiz 20 through 26. So got a couple to do there, and get those done this week. And if you want to complete the whole course, have nothing to do, go ahead and do that too. So, okay, I'll stick around for any questions. I appreciate you guys' time. See you.